About how Hashem remembers the wonderful faithfulness Am Yisrael showed him in the desert when he took us out into the desert and we just followed him. There. But that was seen sort of as what do you call it? It was something that was great in the past, but in the present, Yirmeyahu is not as enamored of Am Yisrael, and he's actually using the past to show how far they've fallen. That's what it seems to be. In other words, they were faithful. They did go after him. They did follow him in the desert, but it's not the situation now. We said how Be'etzem, even though there is a hint, the Radak said, and the Malbim said that the first three psukim in Yirmeyahu is the basis of all prophecies. Him, Hosea, other prophets, always the love of Hashem is at the basis of his connection. In other words, it's like a father who comes and says, it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Boom. Right? But in a sense, it's true. The child may not understand it. The child may not feel it at that moment. But when Hashem says, I love you, I love you, I love you, I really love you. And I'm doing this because I have to. Because you're going to learn from this. Because you need to be punished. But it's on the basis of the faithfulness that is the basis of the connection. It's an important thing to remember as we live our lives. Beseda. So I think we reached let's start like a pasuk. I'll go back, okay? Pasuk Yud Gimel, okay? Kishtayim ra'ot asaymi. So everyone open up, please. Chapter 2, verse 13. Okay? Yud Gimel. Okay? And I want to remind you guys that part of what we'll see today is the colorful language of the prophet, okay? And how he needs to use every literary form that he can use to get people excited, because otherwise he's limited in his scope. There were no movies in those days.
Tell me again which
Chapter 2, verse 13. Yud Gimel. Kishtayim ra'ot asami. Oti azvu mekor mayim chamim lachtzov lehem borot nishbarim asher lo yachilu hamayim. So there are two things that are doing wrong. One, that they leave Hashem, who is a source of true waters or living waters, water that gush from the mountain. Lachtzov lehem borot nishbarim asher lo yachilu, to go and drink from wells. Okay, now just on a understanding of this mashal, there are two types of water systems that you have in Israel. Okay, Israel does not have that much rain, even though today we got rain and tonight we may have rain, but we don't usually have that much rain. So rain is very, very, very scarce. It's very scarce and very, very precious. So the ultimate source of water is a spring. I mean, that's like, whoa, in Israel the spring is huge. To have an unending source of water is a wonderful thing. The other way of having water are these cisterns, these large, massive vats of water that keep the rainwater. And they keep the rainwater throughout the summer months. Okay? They're really important also. Obviously, which is better water to drink from?
The one that's been filled spring.
What? The spring water that gushes out, the water that's stagnant and stays in one place. I mean, at some point it gets pretty gross, and it's also always in danger of evaporating. Of how does it say when it sinks into the water, into the ground?
Rotting, or when it sinks?
No, like the water when it's evaporating is into the air.
Is that condensation? What are you talking about exactly?
Well, it evaporates. Yeah, if you have a glass of water, you put it in the sun, it will disappear. Right? It evaporates. The water evaporates. That's the word.
Steam.
What?
Seeps into the water.
Right, seeps into the earth. Right? That's another thing that happens. So what do you have to do in order to keep the water from going into the from sinking? Right? If I make a hole in the ground and I pour water into it, it will disappear very quickly because it will seep into the ground. Right? So in order for them to be able to keep these cisterns, these massive water cisterns. They have to coat them in clay. Okay, so Yirmeyahu now is talking about the relationship to Hashem. There is two ways of relating to God, right? Is what he says. Look at Pasuk Yud Gimel. Two evil things my people have said. Me, they've left a source of living waters. Okay, Hashem likens himself in this sense to a source of eternal, undying, pure water that continues to come out all the time. This is sustenance. Lachtzov lehem borot, to go make wells. Now the wells are, they gather the water. In other words, they are not self-sustaining. They're talui, they're on the condition of the rain that comes in and it contains the rains. Borot nishbarim asher lo yachilu hamayim. These are broken wells. What are wrong with broken wells? They have cracks in them. And when they have cracks in them, what happens to the water? It seeps into the sides of the thing. Now, so this imagery, which for us we have to understand what they're talking about, Mechael, for those people who lived in this age, is a very clear mashal, a very clear parable. They know what spring water is, they know what well water is. Clearly, one is better than the other one, and this statement is Hashem is the living waters, and the idolatry is these broken cisterns that at first they're massive. You have to understand, they're massive. It's great. It's like there's a lot of water there. But as time goes on, suddenly it disappears. That's the feeling you get from idolatry. Or for idolatrous, I would say more culture, and as he's going to go into in a sentence. It's glamorous. It's exciting. It's large. It's fulfilling. But at the end of the day, you're not left with anything. It seeps away. It all seeps away, and you remain thirsty. Really, you remain thirsty. And this is a mashal that Yirmeyahu is bringing out here. In a minute, he's about to start throughout this chapter. This is the next thing we're going to talk about. He's going to talk about the faithfulness. Really, the story of this chapter is faithfulness and unfaithfulness. And he's going to go into the classic parable of unfaithfulness, which is in the Nevi'im. What is the classic parable of unfaithfulness?
The harlot.
Right, the harlot, the wife, the unfaithful wife. Yeah. That is the mashal. It is the it's not a parable. Sotah. It is the unfaithful wife that's the mashal that Hashem always brings throughout all the prophecies. Almost everyone. Yirmeyahu, Hosea, Yirmeyahu, and Yechezkel. The unfaithful woman. And Am Yisrael is the woman. Hashem is the husband in this case, and we're unfaithful to Him. That is seen as the ultimate betrayal. Okay, and he's going to use that here. But really, there are a couple levels of this betrayal. So let's take a look here. Okay. So let's read a couple more. Now, I'm not going into all. I can't go stop at every. They're like parable after parable after parable, metaphor after metaphor after metaphor, simile after simile after simile. It's like mamash a lot in this chapter. Ha'eved Yisrael, what is Israel a slave? Is he born to slavery? Why is he so degraded? The lions around him are roaring at him, going to attack him. His land is being laid waste to. His cities are burnt without anyone sitting there, which leads to a certain question: when exactly is this prophecy being said? We talked about this in the first two shiurim. We talked about how Yirmeyahu's prophecies spread over 40 years, and it is an interesting game to try to find out when the prophecies are. They're not chronological in order, and how this that description of the land being destroyed doesn't really fit so well into Yoshiyahu's time in which seems like the beginning of his prophecy. I'm just going to hint to that, but yeah.
Just wanted to clarify, maybe it's a bad translation in here. What it means and gave the tongue, and they made his land waste. The young lions roared upon him and gave the tongue. I'm so
they raised their voice. Is what I
that new kolam, raised their voice.
Raised their voice.
Yeah. Okay. Now the next pasuk is interesting. Okay, it says, "Gam bnei nof v'tach panches Yiruch kod kod. Who, what, and where. Also the children of Nof and Tachpanches. Who is Nof and who is Tachpanches? What are they talking about? Says Rashi, these are Egyptians. Egyptians. Rashi continues, She'atem botchim alehem le'ezra, that you trust that will help you. And this idea of mentioning the other nations that Israel trusts in goes throughout the chapter. If you guys follow me here just for a second, so I'm jumping with me a little bit, okay? Look at Pasuk Yud Chet now in this parak. 18. Ve'ata malach lederech Mitzrayim lishtot mei shichor. Why are you going to Egypt to drink the waters of the shichor? Remember the other previous metaphor of the waters? Why are you going to drink in their waters? Malache lederech Ashur. Why are you going to Ashur in the north? Lishtot mei nahar, to drink from the river being Nahar Prat, okay, the great river in the north. And again, if you go to Pasuk Lamed Vav, towards the end of the chapter, he's again going to mention these two. Ma tizli meod l'shanot et darkech, gam mimitzrayim tavoshi kasher bosh mi'ashur. I'm reading 36. Why are you going to go and change your ways? You will be, how does it translate? Ashamed of Egypt, just as you were ashamed of Ashur. So the third time in this chapter, Ashur and Mitzrayim are brought as a pair of people that are going to embarrass them. They're going to betray them. They're not going to be there for you when you need. And here, in a sense, Yirmeyahu is challenging Am Yisrael, challenging them in their mindset of faithfulness. Because Hashem says, I need you to be faithful to me. That is your job, to be faithful to me. And you're unfaithful. So we talked about idolatry and its unfaithfulness, but it's not just idolatry. They also really in their hearts and in their actions are putting their faith in the northern and the southern empires. They think, in the end of the day, that someone's going to save them. Ashur will save us, Bavel will save us, they will save us politically. Says Hashem here in this chapter, faithfulness as a nation has many different levels. It has a personal level of your connection to Hashem. Are you faithful to Hashem or not? It has a national level on who do you trust. It's a really deep thing, this statement. And it's very hard for us, and we talked about this as one of the major religious challenges man has and nations have. We see it played out every day here in Israel. Who do you trust? Are we doing the right thing or not? What is our mindset? Is the first thing we say is if we do this, America will say so and so, Russia will say so and so, the UN will say so and so, or we say we put our trust in Hashem that if we're doing the right thing, He'll be with us.
Seems like the majority of the people have never said,
Yes, exactly.
we're going to follow the way of Hashem.
I agree. It's
Never been a point where
It's very hard. It has been. Chizkiyahu does it. It's unique at times. It's very hard. It's very hard to do. But Hashem seems to demand it time after time again. We'll see Yirmeyahu at some point is going to say, stop thinking that. Because at some people, the people think that way. It's going to get mixed up because at some point they are going to say that. We'll see what they say later. But Yirmeyahu says inside you keep trusting your political maneuvering more than you trust your ethical maneuvering. It's a huge issue in Tanakh. What is the way to think out the nation's course? Practical politics, which is important. It's not nothing. You're not supposed to sit there and say, all right, save me, God. Save me, God. I'm good.
Did.
What?
That's what Menashe did.
Menashe?
Yeah.
What, at the end? Said that, but that door throughout, he was completely the opposite. He didn't have God at all. He didn't have Hashem in his presence at all. But this concept of just allowing Hashem to do it, and Hashem will win, sort of like we see in Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? Moshe says to Am Yisrael, Hashem yilachem lachem v'atem techarishun. Hashem will fight for you, you just have to be quiet. Don't do anything. You'll be fine. We'll take care of everything. Which Hashem does in Mitzrayim, right? Am Yisrael don't do anything there. Hashem does everything for them. That concept is one extreme. Yeah. The other extreme is all these things we meet here in the Nevi'im. Yeah. They're trying to maneuver and doing a deal with him and doing a deal with him and playing back and going back and backstabbing and doing that. all kinds of political maneuvers, and the prophets come. Yeshayahu says it, Yirmeyahu says it. Why are you keep trusting in them? It's not where salvation will come from. It doesn't mean, and this is what people have trouble understanding, it doesn't mean you can't maneuver politically. It means, where do you think the source of your salvation will come from?
Yes.
You understand? It's a tricky move. In other words, I do political maneuvering. I do talk to this nation and this nation and this nation. I do it, and I know I should do it, and I do it well, and I do it smartly, and I think it out. But I know that on the basic level, what really will make this work or not is my spiritual mitzvah and Torah-oriented actions. That's what will make it successful at the end of the day. It's like a heart and a body. I mean, the body has to be used. It has to be, you have to make sure your body's okay. But if you start thinking your body is you're in big trouble. Your soul is you. Now the soul needs the body, Beseder. So the nation needs politics. But the soul of a nation is its connection to Hashem. And this is what Yirmeyahu is coming. He says you flipped off. Just like the borot, just like the wells and the cisterns. You think you have a well, it looks beautiful, it's wonderful, it's powerful, it's large. You don't understand that it's man-made. It has cracks. It's not going to last. Only Hashem will last with Am Yisrael. Only Hashem is the place of our salvation. Only through our understanding that doing the Torah and mitzvot and doing what Hashem asks us to do and tells us to do, that's the way to do it, even when it's really hard. And it's really hard. And it is really hard.
Yeah.
It really is really hard. It's hard in
I
life.
think what we need is, when times are really good, it's very easy to just kind of forget a little bit, not push so hard to do more, to do mitzvot. You kind of put it on the wayside. It goes to the wayside a little bit. We need to give each other more reinforcement to remember. We should have a shirin about it. When times are easy. I'm sorry, did I say hard? I meant easy.
Yeah, he said easy.
Easy, yeah. When times are easy, remember that. Don't forget Hashem. This is what constantly is our downfall.
That's
slip
for sure.
Really good.
Nachon. That's what it says in the Tanakh. It says in Devarim. That's Devarim. The real
fat and you forgot.
Get fat. Veishman yeshurun vivat. Get fat and you kick. And in Devarim, that's the danger. The danger isn't that it will be hard. The danger is that it will be easy. That it will be too good. And then you'll think, I did it. It's my own acts. It got through me. And you forget Hashem. That's what it says time and time again. It's mamash.
So is that what's going on in America right now?
Is that what's going on in America? Maybe. America isn't. Look who's calling. Josh France. I'm just gonna tell a student from here who's in America. I know him. Oh, you know Josh? Josh. Hi, I'm right in the middle of a shir on Yirmeyahu here in the Machon.
You are on YouTube.
It's Sunday night. You're on YouTube. So right. Okay. Bye bye. Right, he's world famous now.
Yeah.
So is it what happened in America? Listen, it's known throughout history that societies that get fat and lazy become decadent. They become
Complacent, you're saying?
no, decadent is worse than complacent. It's morally corrupt. It happens to every society that it gets too powerful. Rome is the classic example.
And the worst modern Judaism is from there. The worst version, let's say.
I don't know where the worst is, but it's definitely America seems to be falling apart in that sense. It seems to be, from what at least what we see here. What? Well, Russia is different. Russia's not easy. It's not easy in Russia. Russia's not so. It's not so materialistically good.
They don't have Western values.
And they don't have freedom either. They don't have freedom, and they don't have material wealth like they do in America. But so it's a challenge everyone has. It's always a challenge. And there's a famous Tana de Belial was at its point. But one second, there's Tana de Belial says that Hashem looked and he didn't find any present better for Am Yisrael than being poor. That's the greatest present he could give Am Yisrael. And you're like, what? That's the greatest present you could have on Yisrael? And you understand it, like Matidya was saying, when
The Timani is the best example of that. They were poor for 2,000 years, very religious in Yemen. They came to Israel, and half of them became secular. It's very.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. Okay.
We pray for Parnassan. And then
We have
we
to,
want to
yeah.
make sure when we get it, we continue going on the right path.
Okay.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge. So So all these things are challenges that we have. But I'll bring it to you on a political level. It's really challenging. Okay. In other words, right? I always bring the example of Am Yisrael. When we teach Megillat Esther, Am Yisrael in the beginning of Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael, with Medinat Yisrael, in the beginning, when in 1948, for the first couple of years, Israel had to make a strategic decision who they're going to go with, America or Russia. It was not pashut at all. Most of the people who led the political parties here were Russian. They were socialists. The 1st of May was celebrated here till not long ago. In other words, they were real socialists. The kibbutzim, the things, they saw Mama Russia as the motherland. It was mamash, and they had to make a strategic decision. Who of these new supergiants coming up, Russia and America, who right after World War II, it was a battle, right? There was a battle in the world it was the beginning of the Cold War. The idea of world supremacy was clear. It was divided right down the middle between those two giants. Israel had to make a decision who they go with. These are real things. These are
America?
what?
Golda Meir was more.
North America. What?
Golda Meir. Well, I think it was a little bit before the area.
It was before Golda Meir. Well, I bet that's before Golda Meir was in the 70s. She was around then.
So the Russians decided to go with America.
Israel went with America, and immediately Russia started supporting the Arabs. It was either or. Whoever goes with this gets the other one becomes their enemy. It was no games, and there was no in between. You have to choose a side, and then you're enemies with the other side. So these are like real decisions to make, and you could assume that was the decision that saved Am Yisrael. And this is what he's saying. No, it's not. It doesn't matter who it is. Ashur, Mitzrayim, it doesn't matter. They will not be the people who save you.
So America
It may
will
seem
not
like
be the
it.
people that save us?
No. Now, America could help or not help. It doesn't matter. On an external level, they could help, but the saving is not. And it's something. It's an emotional national. It's a national emotion. Do you think America is going to save you? Who is going? And this is discussions. Just open up any newspaper now. Right now, we got America mad. So what's the motion? You have two motions. You have the motion say, oh, we got America mad. That's it. We have to stop. We did something horrible. Another statement says, listen, we have to do what's right. Sometimes we'll make them mad. Sometimes we don't. They are our partners. We're not throwing them away. They are the people we're dealing with. But you can. But you can't change your actions. You can't make your morality. You can't make your ethical and national decisions based on other people who have a completely different mindset. Now, that's on a political level. So we're talking about idolatry on a political level. Now I'm going to go on a cultural level. On a cultural level, it's also connecting here. On a cultural level, it's the same kind of thing. What is your life? What is your culture? What is your language? What do you speak? Do you speak Disney? Do you speak Hollywood? Do you speak movies? Do you speak starot? Do you speak, what are starot called? No, starot. Starot are shows. Is that what it's called?
Movies.
Show, not movies. Like series. Like what people watch. TV series. Is that your language? Or is your language Torah? And sometimes the other things also. What is your basic language? That's also a major thing. It's also happening here. It's also what he's talking about. Who are you? He says to Am Yisrael. Who are you? Where are you drinking from? Where's your water coming from? Where's your sustenance coming from? What excites you? What makes you alive? Is it when you do X or when you do Y? These are major things it's a challenge. It's a challenge because the lights are bright. The lights are bright. So all these things Yirmeyahu is hinting to on the faithfulness level. This is what we're talking about, the faithfulness. Where is your faithfulness? To whom? And how? And they understand. And the prophet isn't, they're saying this because it's hard. And they're not saying this because, it's just a simple choice. No, it's clear. They're saying this because the people have a hard time seeing it. Just like now, people have a hard time seeing it. It's not easy to see it. What's real, what isn't real? Is the religious life real? How real is it?
We need Nevi'im.
What?
We need Nevi'im.
We'll talk about the difference between Nevi'im and Chachamim at some point. But Nevi'im have the pathos. That's what they have. The Nevi'im come with pathos. Yirmeyahu here, listen to what he's about to say, okay? I'm going to jump a couple of psukim ahead, okay? To Pasuk Kaf Aleph, okay? V'anochi natatich sorek, kulo zera emet. I planted you as a beautiful grapevine, a true grapevine. Ve'ech ne'epach li surei hagefen nochriya. You have flipped into a we had a good word. You give me a good word for nochriya in the morning.
Non-Jew?
No, alien. You turned into an alien grapes. This is that was Pasuk 21, chapter 2, Pasuk 21, Kafalef. You've turned into, I planted you beautiful grapes. You've turned into a forest vine, a not productive vine. Ready? כי אם תחפשי בנתר ותרבי לך בורית, נחתם עוונך לפני נאום אדוני אלוהים. Even if you wash yourself with soap, it's a lot of soap, your sin has stained you. That's what it is, nichtam. It's funny, he plays with the word nichtam. Nichtam usually is sign, sealed, right? It's sealed. Chatum. Chatum is to seal something. But he writes here, nichtam avonech, it is stained. Your sin has stained you. There's no, right? You're trying to get out a really good stain. It's really hard to get out. Very hard to get out of stain. It says your stain your sin is stained before me. Take as much soap as you want. It'll be very hard to get it off. And here we go. Now here it says, Ech tomri lo nitmeti. Now he refers to her as a woman. Ech tomri. Right? How can you say, I have not become impure? Acharei baalim lo halachti. I haven't gone after other baalim. So baalim is husbands. But it's also the name of the idolatry of Canaan. That was what they were called, the Baal. It was the main idolatry, which had a sexual connotation also. But he says, how can you say you haven't been impurified? I haven't gone after other husbands. Just look at the valley. Look right in front of us. Look what you've done. Now he's going to go into a couple different metaphors of wild animals in heat, wild young female camels and wild donkeys who go out and they're in heat, and that's what he likens them to. You're like a wild animal in heat who's running after the male, the ba'alim acherim, because you're just thirsting for this avodah zarah. That's what you're doing. You're so unfaithful. You're like these animals who are unfaithful to one husband. Okay? Bichra kala mesarechet drachea. Bichra is a young female camel. Okay? And she's running after all kinds of other people. Seda?
Who's speaking? This is Hashem's message, clearly.
Yeah.
But is this Yirmeyahu transmitting the message?
Yes, Yirmeyahu is giving over the word of Hashem. This is Hashem's message to Yirmeyahu, and Yirmeyahu is giving it over. Okay? Okay. I will throw out that Radak here points out that this idea of cleaning themselves, when he says you have to clean yourself but it won't work, you're still going to be stained, He doesn't say nechtam avonech. He doesn't say it's sealed, it's stained. He points out that at this point tshuva was still a possibility. You have to remember, through this period of time, there are different shlavim where you say it's over. And the example he uses is what we're learning with Shmuel in the morning. And he said with Eli, it was sealed. There's no possibility of return. But at this point of time here, Yirmeyahu is coming not just to make them feel bad. Right? He's not coming just to say you're just so bad. And what does that help? Here he's saying he's bashing them to shake them out of their thought processes and their ideas so that they will be able to do tshuva. He's trying to shake them up. Shake them up. Shake them up.
Does the Radak bring Shmuel as an
Yeah. So he brings. That's exactly what he brings. Okay. Pera limud midbar. Okay, here this is the wild donkey. Be'avat nafsha shafa ruach ta'anata mishivena. Pera is a wild donkey. Yeah, right, wild donkey.
Where does it say para?
In Kaf Daled. Okay. So he says no one's chasing her, but it keeps running after everyone. Okay? Keeps running after the people who the males. Kol mevakshea lo yu'afu b'chodsha yimtza'una. They'll always find her ready and willing. Now these are harsh parables. These are harsh metaphors. Okay? Min'i reglech miachef ugronech mitzim'a v'tomri noash ki avav tizarim v'chem elech. You're barefoot. You're thirsty. You're parched. Your throat is parched. You're going, nope. I'm going to continue going after these people. Remember why he's thirsty and parched? Because there's no water. Going back to the major parable of the parak. The major parable of the parak is this idea of water. Water. You're thirsting and you want to drink more and more and more, but it's bad waters. The waters you're looking for. So, Pasuk Vav. Look at Pasuk Vav. Kevoshet ganav ki matzeh. Ken ovishu Beit Yisrael. Hema malchehem, sarehem, v'chohanehem, u'nevihem. Just as a thief is embarrassed when he's caught, so too you, Beit Yisrael, you guys should be embarrassed also. Rashi is a great one. He says, just like a thief when he's caught, and he used to be considered faithful. You're caught the first time you're doing something wrong, and you're caught, and your whole persona gets shattered, your whole reputation gets shattered. Wow, that's the way you are. But who is he referencing this to? Who are the people getting shattered? Your kings, your judges, your priests, and your prophets.
They were
all of them.
Is Hashem comparing this to the people in Exodus, like the Jewish people in Exodus?
Well, all this is on the basis of they were faithful, you're not. Again, that was the first three psukim. They were faithful and you're not faithful. Okay?
What did they do? I mean, I missed the beginning of the chapter.
What are they doing?
So basically all people that kind of run the nation are the ones getting punished.
They're not ones getting punished per se, they're the ones leading to punishment. They're the ones who are leading the people to this area. The people he also has his Tano too. He's also going to bash the people. No one's
Okay, so
safe.
they're just getting the worst of it.
They're getting rebuked. Even they're getting rebuked. Let's put it that way. It's easy to talk to the little people. It's not so easy to talk to the big people. Right? When you come to and say this, Yirmeyahu is going to be a persona non grata. They don't like him very much, Yirmeyahu. But he is, we said that in the first chapter. We saw that that's his job. He's going to be criticizing everyone. And so this is the first time we see it straight out like this. Okay, it says, all of you, Ovishu Beit Yisrael. Oh, don't think I'm just referencing to the common people. No, I'm talking about the kings, I'm talking about the judges, I'm talking about the priests, I'm talking about the prophets. That was the elite. That was the Atzula, the nobles of the land. Those were the highest, that was the high society. He just threw them all in one group. And you're all there, he says to them. You're all... So there, Omrim la'etz, look at this. Aviata v'le'even at yalidatan. You say to the tree, you're my father. And to the stone, you gave birth to me. Kipanu, obviously the idols, not the stones, right? Kipanu elai oref velo panim ube'et ratam yomru kumu v'oshienu. Right? They turn their backs to me, their oref. They turn their necks. The oref is the back of your neck.
What did they do?
What do they do?
Yeah, I'm reading chapter 1, and it just says that
They
turn their backs on.
They
prostrated themselves to the work of their hands, is what it says.
Is what it is. It means, well, so there are different levels of idolatry. Idolatry, on the one hand, believing that there are real idolatry, which is believing that there are forces. This is way after Pesach Micha. This is right before Churban Beit Sheni, Beit Rishon. This is right before the destruction of the first temple.
Culmination of everything on Israel?
It's a good question. There were higher times and lower times. It seems that this is a good. Were you here in the first 2 lessons I gave on Yirmeyahu?
No, I didn't. This is my first
So you have to listen to those ones, okay? Because this is after 57 years of idolatrous rule in Yehuda. Long time, very bad king named Menashe, who changed the culture. Even though his father was good and his son Yoshiyahu is also good, which is a little surprising to hear all this in a time when the king is about to be going through a religious revolution, which is what makes some people say this chapter isn't in its right place. This is a chapter that's going to fit more into either before or after. After also, another one of the sons is not as good. Yoachim's time, he's also bad. So, on the other hand, let's see the great Rashi that says this. They bring Ezra's Midrash here also. Ezra's Midrash, no? What's Ezra's Midrash? The Midrash of the doors. Remember the Midrash of the doors?
Oh, that one, like where they had an idol on one half of the side, and the other one on the other half.
Right.
So when you open the door, it doesn't look like there's an idol. But when you close it, there's actually an idol right behind the door.
Right.
And
So it seems to be that Yirmeyahu is giving a critique also to the what appears to be a religious revolution that Yoshiyahu is leading, but the underpinnings inside the people, it's not working. It's not working. So I want to go through. I want to move ahead here. Okay. The Malbim here towards the end of the chapter talks very interesting, gives a very interesting statement, okay? So, says the Malbim like this, okay? In Pasuk, let's go on to Pasuk of Tet, 29. Lama tarivu elai kulchem pashatem binu Hashem. Why are you arguing with me? You all are rebelled against me. Leshav iketi et nechem musar lo lakachu. Achla achar bechem neviachem karyeh mashchit. I have for no reason, for no benefit, have I bashed your kids and taught them the right ways. They didn't understand what I'm saying. Your swords have eaten your prophets like a raging lion. Hador atem re'u dvar Hashem. This nation, this generation, look, see the word of Hashem. Was I a desert to Israel? If I was a land of darkness? Why have my people said, we're bereft, we can't come to you anymore? Has an unmarried woman, will she forget her jewelry? A bride, her ornaments. But my nation has forgotten me many days. Why do you keep searching for love? You taught yourself to go in ways of evil. Even in your on your clothes is found the blood of innocent people. It's not hidden, it's out in the daylight where you're doing this. Okay? I want to read the Malbim on this. The Malbim is fascinating here, as he brings, as the Malbim is wont to do, three different. He says there are three different statements being said here, right? Three different parts of the people towards the prophet or towards Hashem. In trying to explain why they aren't following Hashem. All right? And I think we can uncomfortably find in ourselves some of these statements of why we can't follow Hashem. Right? So he goes like this. There were three different mindsets of the people, okay, vis-a-vis the spiritual situation. מקצתם היו אומרים שלכם אינם עושים כמעשה אבותיהם להחזיק בתורה ומוסר, יען כי רק הדור הקודם היה רוח השם מתנוסס בקרבם, והיו יכולים לקבל הקדושה והפרישות והמצוות ודברים אלוהיים, אבל הם כבר התרחקו מן האור וירדו פלאים, ואינם יכולים עוד לעלות בהר השם ולקום במקום קודשו. First group of people said, who are we? They, in the past, they were tzaddikim. They were great people. They could be close to God. They can serve Hashem, kmo shetzarich, as should be. Nebuch, we're not able to do it. Who are we? We don't have, we can't do it. That's the first group of people. They were great. We're weak. We can't do it. The second group, וכת אחד, היו אומרים בהפך, שדרך אבותיהם לא היה שלם עדיין, והם רוצים להשלים את עצמם בדרך יותר טוב ויותר שלם מדרך אבותיהם. They say exactly the opposite. They say, our forefathers, they didn't get religion. They didn't understand what really needs to be. We know what has to be done. We know how to fix the Torah. We know how to do what is necessary to rectify the situation. Exactly the opposite. I hope you guys are listening well, okay? וכת שלישית, לא היו אומרים לא זאת ולא זאת. רק שכחו את השם והתורה בהחלט. They just forgot. They're just not there. They just don't know anything. Okay? These are the three groups of people. Now,
Not even neutral?
what?
Not even neutral?
They're sort of neutral, this group. This group says, I don't know, I don't remember, it's not so clear, I don't know what to do. We're not trying to fix anything. We just, it could have got lost in the translation. It's gotten lost over, and we know it's gotten lost. In the Nash's time, it really got lost. He says again, it's got lost. Now, we're going to see what the answers are. So the Malbim says these are three statements. He reads them into these psukim, okay, these psukim that we just read. That each statement is said with a nuance. Each statement is from a different person. All right, I'm not going to show that exactly how it's done here, but each one of these psukim is dealing with a different statement. It's a really different statement. The first one is seeing that we're not worthy. We're not worthy. Am Yisrael was great and holy. And who are we? We're the dregs of society. We're the right? There's a statement in the Gemara. Im rishonim kamalachim, anu kibnei adam. If those who were before us are like angels, we're like people. Ve'im rishonim kibnei adam, anachnu kachamorim. And if the rishonim were people, then we're donkeys. It says in the Gemara.
We can blame the Chachamim.
What?
We can blame them.
For saying that. So in a sense, that statement, says the Malbim, it's a dangerous statement.
Yes.
In other words, if you say that, you're saying what? That you're, and therefore what? So you can't do it? You say, well, you can't sleep in a sukkah? It's too cold. Exactly. It's making an excuse. Now, they really feel that way. It's a real, no one's lying in these statements.
No, like back then they would wear tefillin all day long. Now we don't wear for Shabbos.
Nachon. Even in halacha we have these things. They did this and this. It's a good example of what Ezra is saying. Wearing tefillin all the time. Or these are things that people feel. We're nothing. I don't know if you guys know, but in modern day Jewish thought, there's a machloket. Whether there's yiridat adorot or aliyat adorot. Are the next generations going down? Or are the generations going up? It's completely different thinking. Mamash different thinking.
What does that mean?
were the prior generations great and were lesser, or we're higher, we're like,
We have more Torah, more knowledge.
or we're like, even in a way that I don't remember who says it when it's like a Dhamma, Shimon Shkop, I think. We're like, or we're like dwarves sitting on the shoulders of giants. In other words, they may have been giants, but we're on their shoulders. We're already higher than that. In other words, we're not saying we're better than them, but history as it progresses moves ahead, and we're now on a higher place.
We probably have opportunities to be better, which is why Mashiach will come in the future.
And not in the past. That's one of the statements. That's Rav Kook, in a lot of his teaching, sees the world as a progression, as a moving ahead. It's mamash kacha. That's exactly what he says. He says things are moving ahead. Tshuva, the idea of evolution, the way he says it, is an important concept. Not in the evolution, in Darwinian evolution, but this concept that the world is constantly moving ahead. And he says, spiritually, we're moving ahead. But these people, the Malbi, they're saying they're going down. In other words, we're going down and down and down, and we don't have the ability to do what they did. They were kadosh, they were tahor, we can't. So that's one sin. The third group that he brings is the group that says, we don't remember. And we're not so keen on remembering either, okay? It's not like, this is what I feel, what I would say now is a lot of the secular world. A lot of secular is like I don't know anything, I don't understand. They're not necessarily anti-religious. They just don't know. They don't know. And they're not doing anything about knowing either. They just see, I don't know, and I don't know is a
It's like a self-free pass.
Exactly. It's an excuse. Now they use it as an excuse. I don't know, so then I don't have to do. My parents didn't do it. Think about these people living in Yoshiahu's time, right? Their parents and probably their grandparents already didn't do it. It's already like a 3-generation thing, or maybe even 4 generations. People got married very young, right? 4 generations of not doing anything. Look, listen, this is what we do. So why don't you do more? I don't know. My parents didn't do it, so I'm not doing it. That's the other one. The third group, they're the really interesting group. The third group says, no. The previous generations did it wrong. We're going to do it right. We're going to fix Judaism. That's what they're saying here. Listen to what he says. This is really interesting how he says. The third group is really interesting. This is the Malbim goes. Matetivu. Yidvakeach atay makat. First of all, for the first two, he says, he argues with them also. He says you can't say that. The idea of would a married woman forget her ornaments? You have a wedding ring on you. What do you look at your wedding ring? You have the Torah. That's what he says. You have the Torah. What are you forgetting? What did you forget? It's right there. Go learn it. There's nothing to forget. That's what the Malbim says is the statement here. There's nothing. You can't use forgetting as a reason. You have my ring that I gave you, my engagement ring that I gave you. It's on your finger. It's right there. It's the Torah. You can't say, I don't know it. You can't say, I'm sorry. No, it's right there. How can you forget something like a bride can't forget her wedding ring? The bride said, are you married? Oh, I don't know if I'm married. What do you mean you don't know if you're married? I think it's right there. What do you know if you're married? Of course you're married. But it's just, I'm not going to, because it's not as interesting in my mind. There's the third one. The third one, listen to the third one. התווכח אתה עם הכת שהיו אומרים כי דרך אבותיהם לא הייתה שלמה עדיין והם ישתלמו יותר במצוות אשר הוסיפו ובדו להם. This doesn't cause you to have your hair stay on the back of your neck. I don't know what will. It says, I'm going to fix Judaism by adding mitzvot and adding בסדר? וכאילו רוצים להטיב דרכם ולהשלימו ולבקש אהבה מאת השם. They say we are going to find Hashem's love by fixing all the problems with Judaism until now. ועל זה אמרו מה תיטיבי דרכך יותר מדרך אבותייך. This is what he says. What, you're going to fix your ways more than the previous generations? כאילו את רוצה לבקש אהבה, like you're searching for love. אבל איך ומה הם האמצעים שתפסת על זה? הלא באמת לא זאת שאמרת שרוצה להשלים דרכך. הנהגת חוקות העמים ודרכיהם אשר למדת מאיתם. אל דרכיך הקודמים, כמו אחת. He says, what are you doing? You're bringing all these foreign cultures and you're saying, this is the way to serve Hashem. This is better. This is higher. This is more moral. This is the Malvim talking in the 1700s, 1800s.
So even the icon is like making it worshipping Hashem like incorrectly, like.
This is what he's saying. Another group of people here, who Yirmeyahu is bashing also, are people who say, we're going to fix, Judaism is broken. Let's fix it. Judaism is old-fashioned. Let's make it new. Let's make it shiny. Let's bring an organ into the shul. Let's drive on Shabbat. Let's not have Shabbat. Let's allow everyone. Let's be inclusive.
Let's do bar mitzvah.
Let's be inclusive and say everyone can do everything and can do everything. You don't have to be a Kohen to do this, and you don't have to be a Levi to do this. Yeah. Let's make it fit into the culture.
Yes.
This is the same. This is what they're saying.
So nobody's
in Beit Sheni. Nobody's no one gets going. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no fourth group here. I mean, Yirmeyahu is the fourth group, and some of the people who still are with him.
My question before, like, is there any in this generation, even one person who is siding?
So there are, but very few. Well, we'll see. We see.
One person is to save the generation each time, like
the tzaddik who's a b'schuto you get. So yes, but there are some tzaddikim, and we have to remember at some point there are going to be people brought to Bavel. Yechezkel is going to be alive in Yirmeyahu's time. There are tzaddikim, but not enough. Not enough. Definitely not enough. The major voice is not the voice of the tzaddikim, and this is what he's saying here. In other words, this kat is saying, we're going to change it. Rashi brings an example of Achaz, who was a long time ago, the Chizkiyahu's father, this is hundreds of years beforehand, who went to Ashur. He went to the cities, the great empire of Ashur, and he saw the Mizbeach there. And when he came back to Beit HaMikdash, he looked at the Mizbeach, he was like, this isn't a Mizbeach.
You mean they made a Mizbeach in Ashur?
They had a major Mizbeach. They had their own Mizbeach. But it was so fancy. And it was so beautiful. And he comes back to Israel and he's like, no. And he sends the plans for a great, beautiful Mizbeach. As Rashi said, they take the old Mizbeach and they put it in the warehouse. And instead of it, they make a great Ashurian Mizbeach to Hashem. But this mamash.
I don't understand.
Like now.
Were Jews living there?
No. He went, Achaz, at being subjugated to the great emperor of Ashur. He goes up there to pay homage or to something. And there, when he's there sightseeing, he sees their temple. And he sees the beauty and the glamour and the grandeur of the place. And he remembers his little temple in Yerushalayim, which is nothing compared to New York City. And he comes back and he's like, it's so what's the word? So quaint. It's so what's a better word? It's it's cute, but come on. And so he comes back and he makes a major altar. He makes it different. This is Achaz. This is Chizkiyahu's father. This is the example the Malbim brings. Okay? This is the example he brings. But he says he's talking obviously not in that time, but this is an example. He says this is the kind of mindset that people are thinking. But what they're really thinking is, how do we make Judaism new and exciting? How do we make Judaism fit into the mindset of the time? How does it speak the language of now? It's a dangerous thing, this
There were
thing.
fake prophets.
What? And there are fake prophets who say these kinds of things, for sure. This is what Hashem wants.
And that's when I get a little bit angry, when we want to say, they are brothers. They are not brothers, these people, they are false prophets. And
Some of the people now.
Yeah, yes.
Some of them are.
It's a big problem.
Nachon?
You say, they
Nachon?
are brothers, they are just lost. No, they are making people lost. They are enemies.
So some are.
Yes,
some.
I'm not saying everybody.
Some are.
And also there's the second group that they are ignorant. I'm
Nachon?
not talking about the...
Mechael is good that he picked up on that. What the Malbim is talking about is happening right now,
Yes,
clearly,
yes, of course.
very clearly. And the people who say, "Who are we we can't do anything.
Yeah.
Who is that in our world?
The secular, the
No, I don't think so. No, I think there are religious people who say we can't do anything. Well, who are we? We don't have any gdolim. We can't do anything anymore. We used to have gdolim. Now we can just be. In other words, that's also not a fair statement. Also, to them, Yirmeyahu is arguing against them. There has to be some middle ground here between these three, right? You know, the first cut and the last cut are exact opposites. One says we're nothing, we can't do anything, we're tiny, we have no power, we have no strength, we can't fix it, we can't. The other one says, no, we can fix everything, we'll switch everything and it will be better. It's almost the opposite. But neither are what Yirmeyahu was talking about or what we want. We want someone who knows how to look at the world as it is, realize how to bring Hashem's world and Hashem's word into the world properly, with power and strength and passion and security and belief in ourselves and belief in that we're bringing Hashem's world be'emet. We're not saying, oh, we're nothing, we can't say anything, we're small, we have no koach.
Who don't want to move to Eretz Yisrael. That's what they say. We're waiting for Mashiach. I hear it all the time. All the time. He's going to come down on a flying mat.
I said these people exist and they're not secular. These people either.
They're not secular.
No.
They're Hasidish.
Anyway, so no, I'm saying they're all kinds. They're all kinds of people. Not only it's everyone. All.
They are very. They are the.
I'm saying these concepts, these statements are statements that Am Yisrael said throughout the generations. This isn't just for his time. The Malbim is pointing out here an astounding critique of Am Yisrael throughout their generations, of understanding where they are. But if we go back to this third group,
how many?
We have to take the
20,
step. Hashem will do the rest.
30%.
it's amazing. It's amazing. אחזת גם בהרעות אשר למדת מן העמים שסביבותיך. When you're trying to copy the nations around you, you've also adopted some of their bad things. כאילו בזה תיטיבי דרכך, like כאילו that's the right way to go. במה שתחבר לדרך התורה, גם דרך הרע של העמים. You're combining to the Torah path the evil things of the nations. And you think this is a fixing. You think this is you're fixing Judaism.
Oh man, yeah.
This is what it is. It's unbelievable. Everyone can think of what it is, but we all have thoughts. I mean, these thoughts, this is why learning prophets is so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay? These are not things that happened. These are things that happen. Okay? They are happening. And over and over again. These are sins they're major sins. And the people are really trying. He doesn't say they're lying to themselves. Okay? He thinks they really believe it. The fact that they're wrong. And then he's bashing them for it. But these people, this is what they think. He says there are three mindsets in the nation. They really believe they're nothing, that group. They really believe that there's nothing to do, that it's gone, that they forgot it. And that it's gone, and there's no way to bring it back. It's ancient texts. It has nothing to do with me. Sorry. It's a book that our forefathers did. It's not relevant anymore. And then they're the ones who want to fix it. That's why you have reform, which is in that sense more dangerous than secular, right? Because I'm going to say, no. Ugh, it's broken. Let me fix it. That statement is dangerous. The secular statement is also dangerous of saying it's not relevant. It's not relevant anymore. They're all statements that are being brought and flushed out here by Yirmeyahu. Okay? Now he goes on. He says when it says here in the pasuk that they killed their prophets, he says they thought that the prophets are false prophets. That's why they killed them. Now they killed them zealously, not because they only said things they don't want to hear. They said they were the false prophets of the false prophets, right? The true prophets are the false prophets, the people who are following the false prophets. It says you killed the prophets. They killed the prophet. They behemoth killed the prophets. Remember Zechariah and Yeshayahu and Uriah, who we'll mention later, they killed the prophets.
And Christians use this to say that the Jewish people killed the prophets.
Right.
They don't differentiate who killed who. You know?
Machon, and who killed what? And afterwards, if they killed,
It's
said
the
that.
Jewish people too.
So, but here Yirmeyahu is blaming them behemoth for killing the prophets.
Yeah.
They kill. Yeah, physically. Oh, yeah, physically. Yeah. They actually did. We met. We had the story of Zechariah. And we'll see here in chapter 26, they want to kill Yirmeyahu. Many times they're going to try to kill Yirmeyahu. This is like that. There are many attempts at Yirmeyahu's life. At least 3 I can think of like that. Probably more than that.
Yeshayahu is the biggest example.
That what?
The king killed him in the.
So that's a midrash. Okay, so I just said that's a midrash.
He
The
was
king's.
not killed?
It's a midrash.
It's in the Torah, no?
No, it's a midrash. It's a midrash. No, it's not. It doesn't say it anywhere. It's a midrash. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it's a midrash. But for our, we know they killed Zechariah the prophet. That we know we kill him for saying things to the king, to Yoash, and we know they're going to try to kill Yirmeyahu. I mean, that's that we see all the time. Yirmeyahu is in danger of his life. We already know that from chapter 1, that they're going to try to kill you again and again. And Hashem's going to save you. We're going to see they're going to try to kill him here, at home, and in the pit, and the people want to lynch him. Not easy, because he's saying things that are opposite to what they're saying. On a cultural level, he's saying things that's opposite what they were hearing. They're saying we're fixing Judaism, we're enlightening Judaism, and you are the dark prophets talking about all these shtuyot to do like you used to do.
Maybe because the prophets prior Yirmeyahu is like their words is like being materialized to the real world. That's why people believe them.
The old prophets.
Yeah, the old prophets.
Well, that we'll see over time as the political situation ebbs and flows. Then it becomes a problem. In other words, we'll see if you could follow some of these things that the false prophets Bikar said everything's okay. You guys are doing great. That's what they say. You guys are perfect. You're great. You're doing great. And since you're doing great, everything will be great. Hashem will be fine because you're doing great. Well, if I'm doing great, why should I stop doing it? It's also what I enjoy doing, what I want to do. And I'm getting my stamp of approval from the prophets. Why should I never stop doing something? And then suddenly, everything Yirmeyahu said suddenly happens. That we'll see suddenly when Bavel ascends. Now, there's a period where Bavel doesn't manage to win, and then everyone laughs at Yirmeyahu, and they throw him out, and they say, see, everything you said was a lie. And a couple years later, boom, Bavel ascends, and suddenly, everyone's like, uh-oh, maybe he was right. But these are things that are really hard to read. It's really hard to read, and we always want to believe what we believe. We always want to believe what's comfortable for us.
Is it a prophet who's been slapped by another prophet?
Yes, Yirmeyahu is going to be slapped by another prophet. Yes, everything that happens to a prophet is probably Yirmeyahu. Yeah, another physically.
No, like for real.
But who is that?
It's written.
What?
Yeah,
Who's that?
I read it somehow.
Maze?
Who's left to Yirmeyahu?
Well, fine. We're just at the beginning here. We'll get to the stories. Be'ezrat Hashem.
No.
Beseder. Tov. I just want to point out that a famous midrash here says, in Pasuk Lamed Aleph, it says, see the word of Hashem. Re'u dvar Hashem. See the word of Hashem. Not hear the word of Hashem, see the word of Hashem. And here there's a famous midrash of how Yirmeyahu took out the man. The man from the desert, the manna, right? There was, you know that Aaron is commanded to take man and put it next to the ark. He pulls it out and says, look, Hashem can
Do miracles.
can defend. You can happen. The people would say to him, and I'll read you what it says here. Amar lem Yirmeyahu liYisrael. I'm reading from the Marikra. Lama en atem oskim b'Torah? Why aren't you learning Torah? Amru lo v'manu oskim b'Torah b'men nitparnes. If we do Torah, how are we going to make a living? Hotzi lem tzintzet haman she'aya munach l'mishmeret. He pulled out the man. They showed it to him. It's amazing to see, right? It's still around at that point.
Yeah.
Right, the miracle, the man disappeared every night.
How long is that? 400 years later?
This is more than 400 years later. Yeah, there's like 800 years later. Yeah. Amar lehem avotechem she'asku b'Torah re'u b'ma shenitparsu she'aya yored lehem haman b'chol yom. Says, look, your forefathers didn't do anything. They learned Torah, and this is how Hashem gave it. Now, no one thought they're going to have man. I don't think anyone at any point there thought, oh, yeah, suddenly the man's going to start coming down. But he says this statement is a statement, again, trust. Remember, this is the trust. The man was a super, super difficult trust thing. How did the man work? You couldn't leave any for the next day.
Yeah.
For a nation of slaves, we know, unfortunately, from people who go through trauma, long traumatic periods, like the Holocaust and other, one of the major side effects of someone who goes through the Holocaust, went through the Holocaust, was hoarding food. It's yadua. One of the things, he would keep food. My mother, growing up with her grandmother, to waste food was like, no way. You hoard food, you keep food, because you know.
My mother also.
You know the other can? No, but
Yeah, they were very poor in Kazakhstan.
Can when you go through these very hard situations, you know what it means not to have food the next day. You don't trust in the world. You don't trust in that you'll be sustained. You won't. Am Yisrael, a nation of slaves, are thrown out in the desert and given one of the hardest tests in the world. Trust me, you'll have food tomorrow too. And what happens in the beginning? They don't, right? The Torah says they gather a lot, and then there are worms, right? And it comes up, and Moshe says to them, "No, you will have the next day." This is what Hashem is trying to teach you. Trust in Hashem. You have to understand, and it's hard to do. The first Shabbos they go out also. They don't. It's very hard. It's hard to believe.
They know that if they try to save it, it's going to turn into worms and everything else. So then they think that maybe if we're going to save some more for the next day, it's going to turn into worms.
And it doesn't.
What do? Gather today, and we'll come back for tomorrow and gather. But the thing is, it doesn't come on Shabbos. And when they came out on Shabbos, they got nothing.
Right. Nachon. It was a teaching possession of understanding that Hashem will take care of you.
What is the difference between emunah and bitachon?
So it's a good question. It's a good question.
Whenever
You have to read the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish is a book called Emunah V'Bitachon. That's a book. Very short, actually. It's very short. You could take it and learn it. It's here for sure. And take a look. I'm not going to have it out on half a line here. But I do want to say that this is the subject matter of our chapter, like we said in the beginning. The faithfulness. The faithfulness is a trust. It's deep trust in Hashem. And how much do you trust it will work? And it may not work immediately. It's a deep-seated trust that's very hard to do. These three katot, these three mindsets that the Malbim flushed out here, they don't trust anymore. They either think we aren't worthy, or we forgot it already, or we're going to change it. None of them trust that it's okay the way it is. That it's okay, that we just have to do it the way it's said. That we just have to commit ourselves to Hashem. No one's there. This is why the man is used here. The man, the midbar, reminds us of what Hashem said, right? Hashem said in the very beginning of the chapter, it was many psukim before, right? 30 psukim before this. What did he say? Right? I remember your faithfulness when you walked after me in the desert. The Eretz lo zu'ah, a land that is not planted. And you had no sustenance. Here he pulls out the end of the chapter, Yirmeyahu pulls out the man and says, listen, when you are faithful, it works. It works. What do we do? We have to work, we can't learn Torah. No. It works. It works. Doesn't mean you are blind and you have blind faith in that sense. Or like Mechael is trying to egg me on here and talk about how... I understand. But is it that you could just do nothing and have bitachon, that everything will be okay? That's not the way the world works. But the deep-seated understanding is that my Torah-oriented life will be what brings things to the fore. And this is what this whole chapter is about. Be'etzem is what the whole chapter is about. How far are you going to reach for your answers? How much you understand that the answers are home. Beseder? Tov, Yofi. Next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll move on to the next chapter, chapter 3. Chapter 3 and 4, we'll see suddenly a new aspect of what he's doing. And then we're going to jump to
Thanks, Rabbi.
chapter Kavav. What's going on?